Those of you who have been here since the beginning, it was 4 years ago, and we were talking about shifts, right? Like we were talking at a really high level about what this looks like when it changes, and then we realized very quickly together that that's not enough substance, that's not enough depth, that's not enough granularity. And so you made a decision as a community and as individuals to go very, very deeply into this work, to push yourselves out of your comfort zone every single time you showed up here. My guess is every single time you showed up in school. And you really began to examine what it means to create a classroom where students are making the meaning. What does that look like? What does it mean that I have to manage in terms of my own instincts? What does it look like in terms of what I have to manage around my own experience or my own training? How do I have to remake myself as a professional? How do I have to rethink about the way I orient to students and to the other professionals with whom I work? You have all done that relentlessly, tenaciously. And it has been such an honor and so exciting to watch this community transform and, quite frankly, watch this state transform. So we have been very conscious collectively and as individuals of the politics, of the discourse up here about what we're doing, about what's happening, about whether the Common Core is right, about whether we should hold all students to these standards, whether we should, as adults, change how we do school in order to help every single student grow towards those standards every day. So there's been all this discourse about whether that's the right thing to be doing and whether the sort of pieces of it are the right pieces. And the whole time, every single one of you just kept showing up and practicing and reflecting and growing. In fact, now when we're in conversation and we're talking to educators across the country, we're realizing that we all in New York are unique in the sense that we are now 2, 3, 4 years into this change process, school after school after school, because of you, because you did it, because you carried it, you got it, you assimilated it, you metabolized it, and you carried it, and you taught the others around you. And because of that, in school after school, classroom after classroom, wherever we go, we see this change happening. And so, this is really a place that you were years ago, and that you are leading on, and that you really have created a lab. You really have created a model. And the role that you've played in the changing of lives is very, very significant. And I want to just notice how collective it's been. I want to notice that what you've built here is a place to come and to get strength. I talk about this, someone was asking me to describe these institutes and kind of what they're like, and so is it like just kind of a steady scope and sequence of, adult learning, and what are your outcomes? And I'm like, yeah, I can answer those questions, but really, forgive me, it's like therapy. Because the role, speaking for myself, of therapy is that you deal with what your obstacles are, you problem solve very specifically, you tolerate the discomfort of going in and dealing with those problems and what they mean and how you're going to handle them, right? And really unpacking the sort of content of what stands between you and your goals and what you want to accomplish, and getting smarter as part of a community, as with other humans. And that's the way I see almost every single one of you using this time. So what we don't know yet, and Ken will talk more about this, is how will you get to keep having this time? I know many of you have rebuilt it again in your own communities. Carol, where's Carol? Is she in the room? There she is. She's not. Carol Barcelona is like just a prime example of this. There are 100 of you in the room who have done something like what Carol has done, and it's very, very, very powerful, where it's just like, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna rebuild it, I'm gonna go deeper with it, I'm gonna convene folks so that we can come together and talk about it and problem solve it right in my own community, and just lead again and again and again. And I know so many of you have done that, and so many of you have done it with so many different structures. And so I would encourage you to do that. You'll talk to Ken more about how you want to do that collectively, and if you want to do that collectively. I'm going to stop there and say thank you. Thank you very, very much for showing up the way you have, for leading the way you have, and for working so hard and so relentlessly to improve the lives of every student you serve.